Shanta Charm, and I am the writer of tellmelc.com.
Shut the front door. You're the writer.
Oh, you're so irritating. My blog is based on financial hacks and mortgage tips for first-time buyers, buy-to-let, etc. Today's topic is, so you don't like your job? Quit then. So I thought, why not bring a guest who's done exactly that and was able to change his career path, change essentially the line of work in which he does. My guest is Joseph Charm, my husband, and
I think I'll take it from here. Hello everybody, my name is actually Hamid Joseph Charm. Hamid my first name, I go by Joseph. What do I say? I'm the good looks in this relationship.
Kind of video.
What is it?
This is meant to be serious. We're meant to be giving like tips, helping people.
So you don't want them to smile whilst learning.
Okay.
Right, now let me tell you what I do for a living. I'm a learning consultant, so I put together experiential learning interventions that help adults fall in love with learning. I mean, it's probably not as magical as that, but it is pretty damn cool. That's why I've got like these sheets behind me. They're like my whiteboards that I scribble on, so do ignore. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I'm a learning consultant. I create workshops and I deliver them. Right,
so let's get right into the juicy part. So you haven't always done this. The whole point of this video is to discuss someone that is in a job or going down a career path that they don't quite like, and they want to change, and that's exactly what you did. So before being the learning and development coach, consultant, whatever your job title is, what did you do?
First of all, we've been married for a number of years, and I would have thought that you'd know what my job title is by now.
It's a learning consultant.
Oh, thanks.
Senior.
For let the record show, she called me 4 or 5 different things before she landed that. Anyways, your question was?
So the topic of today's video is for someone that is currently going down a career path or in a job that they do not like, and they want to change it dramatically. For example, you was, we're going to go into what you was doing before, and now you're in learning development, which is a complete contrast to
what I was doing before.
Yeah. So what was you doing before? So what was you doing before?
Gosh, depends on how far back you're trying to go. Are you trying to go before banking?
The bank.
Okay, cool. So I did various sales roles, and then went to university, did a few more sales roles, and found myself thinking that I would get job security at the bank.
Actually, let's talk about all of those jobs, because some people feel like you have to get it right. Like you have to know your dream job at such and such age, and that will see you throughout your career path. But you've dabbled in so many different things. So what are some of the job titles you've had?
You see, I wouldn't say so many different things. There was a consistent theme of jobs I was doing, and it was sales. I do enjoy sales. I was doing, I was a diamond broker once upon a time. Pretty much like Wolf of Wall Street, but less Hollywood. I did car salesman. I worked as an estate agent. I worked in waste management as an account manager. I worked at, I can say this company's name, Phones For You, who are now bust. So I worked at a number of places.
Okay, and then when you thought, okay, I've got it, I'm gonna work at this company for the foreseeable future, what was you doing? So you left university and then you secured this job. What was it?
So it wasn't the first job I landed out of university. So I had a job, but it was consistent. It was the one that I wanted to make a career out of, basically, and that was in the bank. I was a cashier at first because I wanted to get my foot in the door. I was a cashier for about 1.5 years, and then I got promoted to a business manager role, which was vastly different and quite a big step up for what I was currently doing.
And what did that involve you doing?
Oh, cashier was just standard practiced like paying the money
The
checks,
business
etc.
development role.
But when I was a business manager, I used to manage businesses with a turnover of up to 2 million. That entailed me looking after their lending, doing, the KYC for onboarding them, which is really essential anyway. But I was doing all of that stuff. I was, trying to get new business into the bank as well. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Of course, there was a few more bits and pieces.
And how long was you in the bank overall?
So I was in the bank in total for almost 3 years. Almost three years, yeah.
And what made you decide? What made you decide that this isn't for me?
Oh, good question. Honestly, I think I had too much personality for the bank. I think I'm too a little bit crazy, guys. A little bit crazy. But I had too much personality for it. I really enjoyed the customer interaction, but I absolutely hated the processes. The reason why I joined the bank was because I didn't believe in the ethos of a lot of sales companies. I didn't actually believe they had the customer's best interests at heart. And I'm very passionate about that. So I would often find myself running into brick walls in sales. So I thought banking was going to be completely different. So then I found myself in a role where I was doing the exact same thing, but for a large bank. And I wasn't getting commission. So it was a lose-lose. So they've, renamed targets because of the financial crash and what they weren't allowed to do, etc. And they've called them aspirations. They weren't my aspirations, but they were their aspirations that I had to work by. So I had those to work on. A lot of pressure. Not only a lot of pressure, I wasn't being paid enough to do what they were asking me to do. Plus, their processes were backwards.
Okay. So when you realised that you in the bank wasn't a good fit, what did you do? What was your first step?
Do you know what? It took a lot of courage, but I spoke to my manager.
And what did your manager say?
My manager said I haven't been in the role for 18 months. At that time, I had been in the role for 13 months.
And why did she say this? Did you ask her in another role? What was the conversation about?
Yeah, so basically there is a policy in a lot of organizations where you have to be in a certain role for a certain period of time before you can move on to another role. But because I had found that I don't really enjoy all aspects of the role that I was doing, I made a decision to have a conversation with her and say, I've seen a role that I do like, that does suit my personality. I am very much interested in doing it. Can I move over there? It's a sideways step. It's not a promotion. It's not going to get me more money, but it's going to help me do something that I enjoy doing at least.
And what was that role?
It was a financial well-being officer. So similar to the stuff that you're doing privately now with like the whole financial education thing, it was going to be around that. I was going to go into schools, go into different colleges, universities, and
but use
training
your
sessions.
Personality, your speaking, your
absolutely,
personal skills.
Yeah.
Okay. And your manager said that you couldn't make this change. You couldn't apply for this role.
Yeah.
Okay. So once she said that to you, what was you thinking? What was your next step? Was you going to stick it out for the next few months? Like, talk me through the process where you went from there. Yeah.
I think at that point I knew they didn't value me, and I think value is something that I cherish. I value value. I value being valued rather, and I invested a lot of my time. Along that journey, there were a lot of managers who made promises who didn't actually deliver on their promises. It was such a rocky road in the bank throughout the whole journey, and that was almost like a fresh start to say, look, you guys already know that I've been through a lot with you. It would be really great if you could show me the level of investment that I've shown you. But they didn't, and I just realized that actually I'm just another cog in the, whatever you call it, whatever the phrase is.
Okay.
But I was just a small fish. I was a number.
So what was the next step from there? You asked for to be transferred to this new position.
Yeah.
You wasn't in the bank for a long enough time according to their procedures.
Yeah.
You realised that, look, this role isn't for me. I don't like it. So what was your next step?
I'm bouncing. I couldn't stand the sight of them anymore. I absolutely hated what I was doing. Every day got worse. It was becoming increasingly stressful because, again, I wasn't making enough money and I wasn't learning anything. So my next step was I need to get out. Have you seen the film Get Out? Yeah, like, get out! And his nose starts bleeding and stuff. I started feeling like I need to bounce. So I started speaking to colleagues. I started to try and just scramble my way out of there. It's like a horror film. I was like, run for your lives.
Okay.
To give you an idea, I used to work with a manager. I left once at 4:55, and then that person wasn't my manager, but my manager called me the next morning and said apparently he left at 4:55 instead of 5 o'clock. And I said, are you really about to call me into a room to talk to me for about a 5-minute early leave, even though I can't do anything in 5 minutes? That's the kind of place it was. Now you tell me if it wasn't worth running away.
So you didn't run away. What did you do? What steps did you take? Because you have to remember at this point now, it's not just you. You've got a wife.
Yes,
you've got
that
a
is
home.
true.
You've got bills to pay. You can't be irresponsible.
I don't need this. My wife got 2 jobs.
I didn't have 2 jobs. So what did you do? What practical steps did you take?
So I'm of the mindset that when you're in a position like that, you should work like you are never going to leave, and you should be prepared like you're going to leave tomorrow. So I started to look for jobs, right? Aggressively now, because when you're working for someone, it's quite hard to get into the zone of applying for a new job because you're quite comfortable. But then I found myself uncomfortable, so I just got aggressive with the job searching.
But it's important to note that the way you work, the quality in which you work didn't drop.
No, of course not. I like I said, it was a bit of a rocky road in my earlier days in my career. I made some mistakes because of, not behavioral issues or whatever, the way I responded to certain decisions and the anxiety, the way some managers treated me, led me to behave a particular way, and that did have an impact on the quality of work, which I had learned from and grew. So I got to a point where I was like, I'm not going to let that happen again.
So you've established, I don't want to work here anymore, but I'm not going to treat my...
Yeah, I'm not going to burn the building down.
Yeah,
Like I'm not going to do a disservice to all the people that are coming to see me. So,
Exactly.
yeah, and then I remembered the company that I had interacted with at this point 3 years ago. So we need to rewind.
Okay.
Do it.
No.
Do it. No, it's 2 fingers. If you're going to do it properly. There we go, ladies and gents. So rewind. So I was a part of this youth group. Still connected to them quite closely. They helped me a lot significantly. I went with them to an event that was held in London Canary Wharf, where they was teaching young people how to code, how to start a new business. There was a number of different things on the day. It was brilliant. It was a festival type day. Had a blast, and I was absolutely in love with what all the trainers were doing on the day. All the teachers at the time is what I thought they were trainers. I loved it, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. Any course I wanted to do at the bank, I always wanted to get involved, and it became quite difficult for me because it was an insecurity that I had, which was I'm too young, I'm black. For me to get my foot in the door, it's going to be really, really difficult. Who's going to want to listen to me? I haven't got enough life experience to be training.
For 18 months.
I have to be in a role for a certain amount of months before I start doing that. So at the end of the event, I had spoken to one of the directors because he approached me and he gave me his card and said, look, get in touch or keep in touch if you ever want a job. I was like, I just joined the bank at this point, so I was like, and I'm African,
literally just got a job, yeah.
And like, I'm in the bank at this point. I don't know what's happening in the next 3 years. I'm like, yeah, this is it. I've got a 3-piece suit. What are you talking about, chump? You know what I mean? That's what I felt like. It was like, yeah, fuck. You know when you like suits. So yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna take him up on that offer, but I'll hold on to the card. As I progressed through the ranks in the bank, I had got to a place where I realized that they don't deserve me wearing my own suits.
So when you was a cashier, you had a uniform, and when you progressed to the business role, you could wear your own suits.
Yeah. Okay. At the time, you were the plug too, because you was doing tailoring, etc. So I had loads of good suits. It was good, but I got to the point where I was like, you don't deserve me ruining all of these good suits. It got to a point where I actually started wearing trainers too. Because again, I was just so angry that they didn't want to invest any in me, and I was willing to invest so much of myself into them if they had showed that back. So I was just like, I'm done, I'm ready to leave. So I was looking, but I couldn't remember the name of the company that I had engaged with 3 years prior. Yeah. So I had searched frantically for the name, couldn't remember it for whatever. I just continued on with my life, looking for different jobs, interviewing at different places. I actually almost landed a job at a big private bank, and then I was like, still banking, but again, like, at least it was going to be more money, because I almost gave up. But then I thought, hang on a minute, nah, again, they don't deserve it. So I put on my old uniform. The day I decided to put on my old uniform, when the suits that I used to wear when I was a cashier.
So you stopped wearing your good suits?
Yeah, stopped wearing my good suits.
And just went back to the bank uniform, even though you could wear your own suits?
Yeah, because they gave me that uniform and I said, you can have it back. That's it. I'm not doing it. So, the day I put on their uniform, and I'm a believer, I believe in God, right? And I prayed about it and all of that stuff. And then the day I decided to put on that old uniform, I put my hands in my pockets, and I found the card of the guy. So
that you got 3 years.
Wow. He gave it to me 3 years ago. So she's so good. She's like, wow, she knows. He's like, oh, what's your name again? So I called him, no answer. Called again, no answer. Then I called again, no answer. So then I thought, oh, okay, this is done. Then evening came, he called me back, and he was like, hey, I got a few missed calls from this number. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, great. Hey, it's me. I don't know if you remember me, but 3 years ago we spoke, and you gave me your card, and he was like, if I ever needed a job, blah, 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 blah. I thought it was too late at this point, and he wasn't going to remember me. And he was just like, actually, you know what? I think I do remember you. We're working on some really interesting projects at the moment, and I think we are about to start hiring. So, send me over your CV. I said, oh, okay, great. What's the project that you're working on, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, we're working with a large bank. And I was just like, oh, really? What's the name of the bank? He told me the name of the bank. And I was like, shut the front door. I know that bank. I work for that bank. So I'd been working for them for about 3 years. And I just feel like everything was just coming together like this. And God knew that I needed to kind of go through that journey in the bank to understand what their pains were, what their journey was, where they're trying to go, what they really needed for me to get the interview, get my foot into.
If my memory is correct, you quit the bank when you landed this job.
Yes, but I had an inkling. I didn't land it, but I knew it was probably going to happen.
So you had your interview, was having communication, you was waiting to hear back, but in that time you thought, I'm just going to quit.
Yeah.
I wasn't happy.
But she's happy now, though.
I was not happy.
Was his past tense? Just want to throw it out there.
So continue your story.
Yeah, so I quit. And it was a grueling interviewing process, and it was one of the greatest companies I've ever worked for. You know, I met some of the most incredible people in my entire life that challenged me, that helped me grow, that invested in me.
And so just for the people that don't know the story, so you worked in the bank, you was a cashier, then you went into a business role, then you said, this isn't what I want to do, I've got too much personality for the bank, I don't want to be doing all of this process, button pushing stuff, and you decided that you wanted to go into a new kind of space.
Yeah.
And what space was that?
Yeah, learning and development, training.
So this was your first step on this learning and development ladder.
Yeah.
And what because obviously you were starting again, essentially,
Yeah.
did you have to take like a pay cut? Did you have to become like a junior? Did you work for free? What was the situation
Yeah,
there?
so I did take a pay cut because of what I was going to be doing. It was going to
That's
be
why I wasn't happy.
challenging. We had a conversation about it, and I told her, I said, look, if I'm going to make a decision like this now, it's better we do it before we have kids. Then and little responsibility at this stage in our marriage, then go further along and realize that I'm not doing what I want to do. So she reluctantly agreed, and I went ahead and done it, and I was overwhelmed because, again, the connections that I had made, and some of them are still very good friends of mine until today, and will be for life, I would hope.
So
But
do you still work at that company, or obviously this was
I don't.
a stepping stone into the industry?
I don't.
So yeah, how are things now basically? So you worked at this big bank, you took a pay cut to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
How everything in respect of that now?
Incredible. I made 100% made the right choice, because the industry, that company gave me an opportunity that no one at the bank was giving me.
Mm-hmm.
I traveled the world. I went to Singapore, Hong Kong, I went to Asia, Mexico, in Mumbai, I went to New York, training the most senior clients, global executive, global directors of large banks, all the way down to frontline staff who are really, really important, equally as important, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
And that exposure kind of helped me grow as an individual. So yeah, but I wouldn't call it internal politics or whatever. I wanted to do a particular role, and they didn't have that particular role available for me at the time, and it was a bit of a back and forth, and I felt like I was chasing something that wasn't really going to happen, and it just kind of felt like it was getting further away. But I wanted to leave on great terms. I didn't want to leave on. I don't.
Leave an employer.
Right, but every other job I had up until that point, I'd always left with a sour taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always left thinking, I hate this place. I don't
Good
want to.
riddance.
Yeah, good riddance. But this was one of those ones where I felt like I want to leave now before it gets to a stage where I don't want to ever remember the good things that I had here. So it's not a habit, but I told you, spoken to you about it. Of course, I had pay rises then, etc., whatever have you not. But again, it wasn't.
And how long was you at this
Challenging,
place for?
A year and a half, a year and a bit, over a year and a half, I think. And I was just like, yeah, I'm ready to go now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I handed in my notice.
So when you handed in your notice, Joseph, did you have another job?
I
Did you have a
didn't.
start date?
I didn't, and I want to make this is a disclaimer. I'm not making a habit of it, because it is a bit risky at times, and I understand there's a lot of pressure on people's plates. So don't just go and make irrational decisions like that.
But what is important to know is that you was using your faith.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
It was.
because you
I took
used
a
your
leap of faith. Yeah.
you got results.
Oh, absolutely. It was a massive leap of faith. I just wanted to trust God, and also just, trust the process, in that everything's going to be okay. I'm of the mindset, like, I'm all right. I've got what I need. I'm happy. I've got my son. So, like, it's really, I've got all that I need.
You didn't have a son then.
Okay, so basically, yeah. So anyway, I now found myself in a position that I wanted to leave them on fantastic terms. So I let them know that I've got an offer on the table. Are you able to match that up? Came down to the similar issue that I had at HSBC. I didn't feel like they valued me enough. It came down to a similar problem that I had at the bank, where I felt like they didn't value me as much as I valued them. So again, I wanted to leave, and so I did, and I got approached by a company not long after. It wasn't an easy period for me. I found it really, really difficult. There was days where I was lying in the middle of the living room thinking, what's going to happen to me? But I had to stay calm and, again, trust God, trust the process. And then I got contacted by this company who, ironically, I contacted them So I reached out to one of their recruiters, but another one of their in-house recruiters contacted me at around the same time, and they were like, hey, we've got a role here for you, would you be interested in doing it, blah 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 blah. 100%. And yeah, like my salary skyrocketed way more than what I was on at the last organization, who weren't willing to match an offer that another organization had made to me. So yeah, I took the leap, and here I am, still doing what I love, and you know, just for at a larger scale, for a larger organization. And yeah, I took the leap of faith, and changed the company that I was working for. I hesitate there, I don't want to say the name.
Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody that is currently working for a company that they hate it, they hate the industry, they don't like the company, they feel like their talent's being wasted, but they don't know what to do?
It probably won't surprise you or them that, you know, a lot of people don't enjoy what they do on a day-to-day basis. But I'm someone who doesn't look at work as work, home as home. I look at it as one holistic thing.
We spend more time at work and with our colleagues than we do at home.
Yeah, in most cases. So, you know, if you're happy at home, chances are you're going to be happy at work. If you're happy at work, you know, it kind of works together. You know, one can influence the other. So I would say, don't be afraid to trust your gut and trust yourself. If you know that you've been doing well, if you know that you've been on your job, which is a slang term for you've been doing bits, which is another slang term for you've been working hard, you have given a lot, then trust yourself. Trust the fact that you'll be all right, that there will be an employer out there, or it could be an opportunity for you to start what you've always wanted to start. But just do it. Like, do it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? You enjoy what you do. Like, for me, it wasn't about the money anymore. The money will always come. Like, just do what you love. Even if it is a creative sort of role, like art, and you want to just be a painter. Of course, I understand that that might not bring money straight away, but spend time painting at night. Make sure you are investing in the talent, in something that you do love, so your mind does stay stimulated. Because what you don't want to happen is an organization or a company or something takes away the peace that you deserve. So jump if you have to jump, take the leap, and yeah.
So if you don't like your job, quit then.
Quit then.